Yeah, eventually got into, like a lot of us do, we really started loving the game, got into a lot of the big streamers, back in the day, casino and your mobile gamers during COVID and all that good stuff. And just kind of thought to myself one day, I was like, seems like a lot of fun. I think we could have some fun. I think I could do this thing. So luckily have been successful in that and having a great time doing it. So it's always a good time. The community is incredible, and yeah, I love streaming the game. It's a lot of fun.
And also joining us today, a couple of tech issues, but we managed to get him regardless, is Gideon. How are you, sir?
My man, we're doing okay. Appreciate the opportunity to be here, and I love what you guys are doing with the player's voice.
Thank you very much. So tell us a bit about yourself, mate.
Global launch player, right? So I got an in-game account, and to really try to get that new player experience, to try to get that mid-game experience. I went on ahead and made a baby account. Love the grind, so that's my. I don't even know the word I can use, but I love the grind of the game. So I just want to try to see it from a different perspective. And granted,
How long ago did you start this account?
this account is approximately 9 months old, 279 days.
Oh, nice. So less than a year, so you're still going through the early slog of various earlier game modes. You're not right up there at the high end of the Dark Dimensions and Wars and such.
Yeah, that's a true statement. Dark Dimension 4 and War is weird, but I'm sure we get to talk about some of that as well.
Indeed, we will. So today's discussion with our esteemed guest is going to be about the various game modes and the challenges people face at different levels. So let's kick it off with everybody's favorite. Let's talk about Blitz.
Oh yeah, this is probably one of the number one things that got pulled into the a lot of the polls and is reformatting Blitz, and it was already said that they were a fan of it. It's not going away, but I think there's a lot of differences in Blitz when it comes to end game versus new game. I mean, Purple, let me start with you. What do you like about or don't like about Blitz at this point?
What do I like about Blitz? That's a short list. That I get gold from the milestones is about the extent of that. Listen, it's just for me. I understand some people enjoy Blitz. That's cool. It is not for me. It is not engaging to me whatsoever. It is a chore as far as I'm concerned. It really kind of feels like it has no place in the current state in the game where we're at right now. To me at least. And yeah, I don't enjoy it at all. It always feels like a chore. Even on a Blitz release character, or fragments and stuff. I'm always looking for the best possible outcome for something like that. Is it doesn't matter if I win or lose the Blitz battle, but you know what? I'm still logging in every 2 hours and going through the rotation to get the shards. It just never feels good to me.
That was going to be my first question I was going to ask you is, outside of completing milestones, how often do you Blitz?
Unless there is a very specific reason to do that, like an orb fragment drop, for a character release. Never.
And when there is things like orb fragment drops or other events ongoing, how many teams are now in your rotation?
Whatever the cap is.
So you're all the way up to the 49 now, then.
Oh yeah. We're whatever the cap is, maximum cap I can go to. I'm shout out to Pathfinder Gaming. His Blitz team saved me so much time just being able to download this bad boy. So shout out to my man Pathfinder.
When the MSFGG website merged with the official one, that was one of the best things I think that came out of it, was the fact that everybody could just share teams and setups, and the Pathfinder's Blitz teams have been an absolute lifesaver for so many people.
Absolutely agreed.
So I'll transfer the question over to you, Gideon. As far as starting out early, what do you like about Blitz, and what do you consider a challenge? Being in more from a new player experience.
So one thing that came up. So this is not my statement. This is something we talk with some of the other content creators. So the free-to-play Frog, for example, he's a lot earlier in his second account than mine, and he does not have enough save squads to be able to do the Blitz rotation. So he has to manually stop, cancel out the team, enter a new team, go. Stop, empty out the team, put in a new team, go. So I'm not sure when that kicks in. Right now, I do have enough save squads. In most of the current system, the way the blitz works right now for unlocking characters, like Sticky said, if you just got to win, then it doesn't matter, right? I can win with level 1 characters. That doesn't matter. The characters are good. They're going to win. So relatively early on, you can get wins. You can unlock characters. I have Kang, which I know was difficult to do. I was able to get him because of that change in the mechanic going to the new school versus the old school method. So that stuff is good. If it comes down to straight points, obviously I'm at a disadvantage. So what do they call those? The quick rumbles?
Yep.
Quick rumbles, generally speaking, unless I have the team, obviously, can't score. Can't score points. So it's highly unlikely, very rare, that I get halfway through a quick rumble.
Yeah,
It's
that's
funny.
a good point.
It's interesting you mentioned the Kang Blitz because one of the issues with newer players is you don't have as many teams to field as more established players. So therefore you have less opportunities to earn orb fragments. How did you manage to get around that, especially with something like Kang?
Again, the characters come relatively quickly. I was surprised again at the early game. They don't have to be powered up. Once again, level 1 will do just fine. Having some type of volume will work. So just trying to do the rotations, 6 is usually my max. I've never been able to do 8. Once or twice in my career as a whole, both accounts have I been able to do 7. So 6 is usually my max. And it just ended up being enough, man. I think they extended it a little bit. For being honest with the King, I think they extended it a day or two, which helped. But there was enough volume of characters, even though I hadn't put any power into them, level 1, that I could get enough rotations to still unlock the character.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm under the take is like, does it make sense for a mobile game to require its player base to have to log in every 2 hours? That seemed right.
No. I know the reason why they do it and the way they want to drive up engagement, but I feel like they've taken very much the wrong approach in that regard and overtuned it.
I will say, sorry, I'm gonna cut you off there.
Go on.
I was just gonna say, no, it feels the logging in every 2 hours things. It makes it feel like a job. Like when I hop into the game, like I should be excited to get in there because what I'm gonna do is gonna be fun and engaging. That's always the hope, right? Like that's quality game time, and that's what I want. So to me, yeah, I don't like it. It makes it feel like a chore. It makes it feel like a job. And then as an aside from that, it also always feels really bad for me as like an endgame player. You know, I got a lot of totally maxed out characters that I don't need. When there's these events for Blitz and I'm competing against people that are new to the game, younger accounts that could really benefit from some of these characters, and I'm in there just crushing, tens of millions of points on a Blitz for a character that I could not care less about because the event has me doing rotations. Does not feel good. I do not want to do that to other people, but like my hands are tied. This is what I have to do to compete, and now I'm taking stuff away from you. I never liked that feeling either.
I feel there's a terrible steep drop as soon as you come out of newbie blitz and you get thrown in with literally everybody else. There's no staging to it. It's straight from here to it's like 1 to 100, with no pause whatsoever.
Just looking at it from a slightly different perspective, most of those like old school characters, maybe again we can get into some of this later. Old school characters do not benefit the new player. So if we're blitzing for, let's say, Black Widow, like it doesn't matter. She's not going to help my account at all. Her overall power is too weak. So for me to get shards of one of those old school characters, it doesn't help. I get what you're saying, but unless it's for a newer character, then I can feel that. I can feel that there's a chance for the new cat to kind of gain some ground, make up for some lost time. But if it's an old school character, their power in relation to the newer characters are just too weak. It doesn't matter.
Well,
I think people want that blitz all, man. I mean, I'm a grinder, brother. If I could figure out a way to get 8 rotations in, I would do it. But hey, if I could eliminate that time with that blitz all, I'm all for it.
I like that. I'm gonna go with that one. But what I was originally gonna say, blitz all, I'm with you. What I was originally gonna say is it would be nice if they just, when we already have a character max, give us. We know they have the capability of running 2 blitzes side by side. Put the people that are already maxed out and don't need those characters give us something else that we need. You know, even if it's just some gold fragments or training orb fragments, it doesn't need to be this massive windfall of stuff. We know, you know, they keep a tight lock on the economy, but let people that don't have the characters maxed out compete against each other and do their thing, and give the rest of us something that we care about.
Because the current state of Crucible right now is very, I would say, polarizing. I think, you know, in the past, I think the complaint was things were too cookie cutter. They were forcing us to do this here, this there. This has to be the counter. Then they kind of walked it back, but yet it still feels the same. You know, let me start with you, Purple. Where do you feel like the state of the game is for Cosmic Crucible? You think it's healthier than it was, or do you think it's kind of still in a frustrating place?
I would say still in a frustrating place. I mean, at the beginning of the new season here, I was excited because it was something new, and I am still, to be clear, I am still really enjoying it. That being said, I mean, everything kind of settled into a meta quite quickly. I can tell you at the highest end of it, it is the haves and the have-nots. I mean, you go up against someone with a Super Scroll, you know, big boy Super Scroll on defense. I mean, I just kind of accept that. I'm like, I'm going to lose against those people for the next 8 months or whatever I get them. It just kind of is what it is. That's a little bit frustrating. And Bifrost is so unbelievably overtuned. You know, they make the raids so difficult that only the characters that they deem, you know, acceptable to be used there, they're given those insane raid buffs. And then you throw them into a raid room in Crucible, and it's like, you know, good luck. So it's a little bit frustrating, but I genuinely love the game mode. I have a lot of fun, and we make the best of it. But yeah, I wish it was a little bit more free formed. Like, you know, it still feels very restrictive in the meta and what's obviously you should be using where.
Yeah, I mean, I know there was a comment here about in chat around like people aren't experimenting enough, but I think when you're at the higher end, you could experiment all you want. It's always going to end up being the same. Hey, these are the ones that work, and then it just feels like you're doing the same thing and beating your head against the drum over and over and over. And you know, your results are based on RNG, and right now it feels like, hey, if you win room 2 and there's not a scroll, you're probably going to win Crucible. If you lose, you're probably going to lose Crucible, and it all goes down to one room, and that's not always a fun thing to be. But conversely, Gideon, you know, from your perspective, you know, you may not have certain reach, you know, to some of the higher end players. So what's the CC experience like for you? Because I think you're probably in a better position to experiment.
100%. The newest teams, obviously, as we know, they're the strongest. So as soon as you get enough of those, you can pretty much, you know, take on anybody. People don't necessarily follow the rules at this level of play. They just kind of put in what they think will be good out of their best teams. And so it's rare that you see the same matchup, you know, week after week. So there's some experiment there. And that's okay. But there's a wide range, my man. There's a wide range. There's people that obviously don't understand how to play. So once again, this is a conversation I'm having with the free-to-play frog on his new account. He had people asking him, you know, what is this game mode? How do you do it, right? So you see in that 64 matches, I'm in silver 3, which means no Quicksilver. Can't get Quicksilver shots. Is that game breaking for me? No. All right, there's tons of characters in the game, but even as a regular player, getting to that level to get that reward simply for the most part has been unattainable. So I don't know if that is intentional on Scopely's part, or it's just something that was overlooked, or maybe it was a testing period just to see how it would go. That's what I'm dealing with at the moment.
It's a good segue to raids. You know, I think where, you know, we're on the raid section now. I mean, I think right now it's very clear, like, tech sucks. I think everyone agrees. The other 4 sections.
People have tried so hard to make tech work. I've seen variations with Kang and Doom. I've seen variations with a couple of other people in Kestrel and such, and nobody can properly get tech to work. No matter how much you throw into this, it's gonna still trip you up.
Except,
yeah, it's designed for that not to work, right? That's there.
Yeah. Well, they had to put a bottleneck
design,
at the top end, but like from a bottom end, you know, BA is still viable. You know, like if you're running,
thank you, brother.
If you're running Doom 3, Doom 2, you know, that team is still the it team. You know, so I mean, I'd love to get Gideon's perspective on this.
Bro, might have to come back to me. I get a little emotional with this, brother. I get a little emotional. This is why I got the content creation in the first place. Bionic Avengers. like you say, and we need to make sure people know that, because the message is not getting down. The message is sticking at the top that Bionic Avengers are no good, and people in my alliance don't want to build it because Big Dog content creator says that Bionic Avengers is trash. I'm trying to, who am I? I'm just Gideon. I'm trying to convince them, hey, we need to use this to get through raids. We're doing Doom First Strike. We've been stuck in Doom First Strike since Incursion raids came out because people said stop building Bionic Avengers, and they didn't put any qualifier on that. And so it comes all the way down.
Yeah.
There are 5 people. This is now. So we've been in Doom since Incursion came out. 5 people in my alliance can clear First Strike. Nobody else can because they refuse to build Bionic Avengers. The bottleneck is at the top in the Incursion raid. Tech is the last spot, but in Doom, it can pop up anywhere. And because of that, we're not clearing. So I'm asking right here at this moment in time, if Reaper, if individuals like yourself, if other creators like yourself, if somebody can please help the community understand, take the pop off that maybe, yeah, they're not for the end game content, but they will still work in Doom. I had this happen. I would like to talk to some other people about this, maybe in private at another time.
Sure.
But my end game account, this is important. I got to say this. I've been through 4 self-destruction, imploding, whatever you want to call it, fragmenting alliances because information from the top came down that does not apply. And people stop building what they need to build. And it's always in raids. They stop building what they need to build. Progression stops, progression stalls. And that's the end of the alliance.
I want to quickly bring something up because you mentioned you guys are doing First Strike. And I remember, because it wasn't too long ago, I got an alliance through First Strike into Doom. It was only about 6-7 months ago. And at the time, the hardest thing was getting all the ISOs up for players. Recently, Scopely's made changes to farming ISO crystals and ISO availability. How has that helped you in your alliance in getting prepped for Doom, the transition from First Strike to Doom 1?
We're still, like I said, we're still in First Strike. So, but I have all my my guys ISO. I have all my guys ISO.
Has it helped other people in your alliance start to build quicker though?
In all honesty, I can't answer that. I don't know. I'm assuming they're able to, ISO characters more. There's a lot of discussion about who needs what. So we talk about that quite a bit. And if they have more farmability, I'm assuming they're gonna use it. But we haven't had a need, if that makes sense, to test out what people have and have not as far as Isotope 8 is concerned.
I can very much sympathize with your whole people stop building a team because they know eventually a new team's coming out. Because I remember when Death Seed was first announced, but it was still a while going off, people were like, dude, why are you still leveling up your Axemen? It's like, well, we're doing Ultimus and Doom 1. I can still use Axemen very happily in Ultimus and Doom 1. Why wouldn't I build them? They're strong there. Obviously, I'm not going to be using them later on, but by the time Death Seed came out, Incursions were still way off. But we were nowhere near Doom 3, so why not build Axemen up?
I think a lot of it too is like having the importance of if you're an alliance leader, and honestly, this is a preview for next episode where we're going to talk about alliance recruitment, and the challenges with running an alliance is going to come up as our next topic. But in the short term, it's important that an alliance leader can help create a roadmap. Is like, all right, this will work. Bionic Avengers will work. You can farm it. You can get these characters now, and get us up to a certain point. And when we get to this point, if a new team is released, that's when you start looking to build to be able to take that next journey. It doesn't mean you have to stop, not do it at all, because the time that it takes to build a brand new team, and you're just stagnating the rest of the alliance doing so. And I can see that being the frustration that Gideon kind of mentioned, being stuck because people don't want to build a team moving forward.
I would agree with that. I think kind of this conversation, I never really thought about it that way, Gideon. But I think it highlights, kind of 2 things, right? Exactly what Reaper said, the importance of strong alliance leadership, setting goals for everyone. And this is what we're trying to do. And here's right now in this point in time, this is how we're going to do it. And then in addition to that, I know there's some people that do it, but I do feel like there is kind of a vacuum in the content creator space for Marvel Strikeforce for early and mid game players. that might help to be more of a voice of reason about what you were saying, Gideon. We're like, at the top end, listen, I've said out loud, Bionic Avengers are trash. I hate that team, to be totally honest with you. But to your point, there's a time and a place for that team, right? Like if you're doing the content that you guys are
100%.
doing, that's your solution for it right there. So my recommendation to everyone, if that's where you're at, build them until they get the job done, because you want to get the job done now, right? Worry about when another team comes out, you can deal with that then. But I think that's a good point, and I do think having early and mid game players kind of in the content creator space too, kind of being the voice of reason and giving that perspective is important.
If you're not in Incursion right now, do keep building them until the new team gets announced. That's the easiest way to say it.
Yeah.
Boom.
Let's call up to the next and final game mode we're going to talk about. I don't know if we really want to touch real RTA. I mean, it's just there.
I hear leagues are coming soon. Is that true? Or RTA?
I don't know.
RTA
It's been months.
I can only live in hope. I'm
Man, a lot of good things you
that
can do.
enjoys it, and I will fight it till I die. I love it. But yeah, let's skip that. Though on the point of arena, talking about normal arena, I know what the meta is in your bracket and your bracket and my bracket, but what's the current meta like in your bracket, Gideon? For arena,
So
what's at the top?
a couple of days ago, we had, look, I'm not in the top 10. I'm like in the 60s, 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Number 10 had a full Secret Defenders team. And number 8 was the first Apocalypse. So unless you're in the top 10, you're not really seeing the hardest of the hard teams. So the meta basically is Spider Weaver go first, right? So you got Eternals, you got your Weaver, Emma Frost. So people are wondering with some of the previous events, why is all this Emma? Why is everybody getting all these Emma shards? Everybody got Emma. Everybody don't got Emma, bro. Everybody don't got Emma. She's running the show in the mid game arena. You get your Weaver to go first, you win. That's what it is. I don't have Emma. So I'm getting busted. I can't bust my way out of the top 50. But that's what it looks like.
This has always been an interesting thing for me too. It's like, I think what people don't see is outside the scope of where they are. And if you look at it from a journey, I mean, if you combine all the shards, you would literally see every meta, past and previous, all the way down the line. You'd see the scroll meta, the Secret Defender meta, then you'll go down and you'll see the Tangle Web version, the Apocalypse Horseman, then you'll see the Tangle Web, and then you go further down, then you get into Darkhold, and then Infinity Watch, and you kind of, depending on where you are in the game and as those characters are accessible, you're kind of walking that journey through those metas that we all started with.
The only one I think doesn't exist anymore is the Black Order meta. I think that's the only one
that's probably dead.
Thank God, that was the Dark Ages. That might be the worst.
They have promised a Black Order remake at some point.
Well, hopefully we don't see him in arena.
We're going to find
I don't
people have
miss-
very
I don't
different
miss seeing
teams.
them.
Let's go back to War and we'll discuss that. So,
Yeah, I would say, I want to say this. I think right now War is in a pretty decent place. This is my opinion. I think War is the best place it's been since I ever played this game. You know, they've done a lot of great quality of life changes. You know, I would say it's, you know, again, it's just a personal opinion, and we'll talk about it. But I think it's more valuable on people's time. It's actually interesting. The rewards are more. There's more incentive to do it than there ever has been before, and they are adding elements that keep it fresh. I mean, to me, that's a quadruple win. I'd love to hear what other people's opinion is.
Yeah. I think the most interesting thing, especially with this new season and these new rules, the most interesting thing was that first war, where everybody was trying to figure out how things were going to be affected, just how, you know, certain teams were still a pushover, certain teams became a bit harder. A lot of people underestimated Unlimited X-Men, and suddenly paid for it. But I think that I love not so much the viability of mutants, which is nice, but I love the way they've changed the rooms, because I have seen so many different room setups and I've not looked at them and gone, well, that's, you know, stupid. Why did you do it that way? Every time I see a different setup, I'm like, huh, I like that, or I like elements about that. So it's given a lot more variety to war than we had during Nowhere Siege.
100%. I think so. What about from your side, Gideon?
In my side, you can again. So if we look at my Young Alliance, I have a member who has 15 million power. He's a gentleman who quit the game. He's Captain TG. He quit the game for about 2 years, came back. So he has a high TCP, but his characters are dated. So he's not hitting as hard as you would think, all the way down to a member that has about 2.5 million. And that's typical, we'll say, of our wars. We just got done going fighting a war against, the average is probably 20 million. Lost to them because they were just super strong. And on the flip side, we'll get somebody that maybe has 5 active members and the rest is minions. So the task at the mid game is to switch from I see minions, knock them down, to trying to teach your players, hey, our goal now is to destroy rooms. It's not yet important to target specific rooms first to try to get an advantage. It's just there's a room that we can clear full of regular characters. Don't hit the minions that are sitting next to the 37 million guy. We won't be able to clear that room. Take this room instead, hit all the characters, knock it out. That's where the most points are coming from.
What league are you in, if I can ask?
Take a look. I should have wrote it down. Take a quick peek here. Got my game open, but gotta go over to war real quick. Platinum 2.
Oh wow! So yeah, you're going to get some very tough matchups there then, especially for a lot of younger players. If you've got a guy that's 2.5 million and you're in Platinum 2, yeah, good luck.
It's not so bad. Like I say, the newer teams do work, and so the defenses they're not always meta, but they can be strong. Like symbiotes, 900,000. You can do work on them with some of the stronger teams. Where your Wakanda at half the power, you can still punch up and get it done. I guess that is one small thing I would like to bring out. Since Heroes for Hire is easy to build, free to play, we run into a lot of that, and it's usually a stop for most of us because the Hero for Hire counter is going to be Weapon X, which has a legendary character. Won't work without Omega Red. A lot of us aren't going to have that. Dark Hunters, Infinity Watch, you don't have them at the power that you would need to knock them down. You can use your Nowhere. That's what I use. Otherwise, it's just using the Exhausted Mechanic, man. I triple tapped one a day. I triple tapped one a day to get through it, but that's what it is.
The only other option you would have is War Dogs, but they require so many T4s that I'm guessing a lot of your guys will not have to spare for a war team.
Yeah, I don't even have them to spare, man. I don't got the T4s on my War Dogs, and they're pretty weak anyway. They're like purple gear. But
it's funny is like even H4H as long as it's been sitting around, even now, even at the highest level, like people still drop those fights. It's crazy how tricky that team can be. But I remember how frustrating it was. When you went against Alliance that had one in every room, you only had half of your teammates have unlocked Omega Red, and you're like, oh god, what are we gonna do? Now it used to be like a stress moment.
I remember being Platinum 2 and out to Platinum 3, pushing on to Platinum 4, but we still run into H for H almost every room, every fight. It's one of those things that they were so overtuned at the time. They put too many things layer upon layer and didn't realize just how much everything all came together and made a horrific mess.
Well, let me ask this: as far as Purple, I know War hasn't always been your number one game mode by any means, and you've vocally said it, and yet I'm forcing you to make it. So tell me a little bit more about your experience with War. Have you seen a change for the better, based on where it is today versus where it was 5 months ago?
Yeah, I would agree with you that it's probably in the best place it's been for a while. Exactly what you said. It's never really been my favorite game mode. I will say there's a lot of kind of information or around the fringes there that kind of colors that opinion for me. Until recently, I was in one of the biggest, most competitive alliances in the game as far as war goes. And I mean, I pretty much knew going into a war whether or not we were gonna win or lose it, right? To me, it felt like while I was there, I would come in and either we're about to get stomped or we're about to just destroy these people. And for me, that was not a whole lot of fun. I enjoy the camaraderie of war, the friendly banter in chat, people hyping each other up. Good job on that attack. I can't believe you one-shot that, this and that. I enjoy the competitiveness. I want it to be close. Like I want it to be. I enjoy it in that way. So for me, it's kind of all the stuff on the outside of war that I enjoy, and yeah, I mean it helps now. I'm no longer with that alliance. I'm very lucky to be with our very own Reaper here in his alliance, and I'm still new there, but we have a great time, right? And it's a lot of the stuff around it. Like they've been fun wars that we've been playing. The banter, the camaraderie of the alliance has been awesome, and that's what makes it fun for me. And I think I'm definitely going to be in more situations where I look at a war that we're going into and being like, all right, this is a competitive one. We need to be on top of our game because we got a good shot at winning this. But if we slip up, we might lose it. That's interesting to me. Knowing I'm about to get, my teeth kicked in or, just beat down on someone else who has no chance is less exciting.
My personal theory is they're using the same CC system in war. I really do feel like that, but I have no way to validate it. But why can't they do something like that to make it even more fun, where you actually can see who you're facing? I'm kind of curious as to if because obviously you guys don't know. You just pop in there, and all of a sudden you're winning a fight. Then all of a sudden 3 wars later, now you're facing somebody massive that you just can't possibly compete with. But there's no visual way to see that or understand what you're going to be walking into.
Yeah, one of my previous alliances that while we were leveling up, we cheated the system somewhat. So we always threw the midweek war, like straight up. We tanked it. We did 1 hit each for rewards, and that was it. So we could save up our charges for the first and third. And then 1 week every few months, if there wasn't a war event on, we'd just tank the whole week. And that way we always kept our ELO down. So we always got really good matchups on our Monday and Friday wars.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
unfortunate that you even have to do stuff like that.
Yeah, it's dumb,
it's stupid.
It just made war really fun for everybody because we were winning, and when we bothered with it, we won, and when we had a break, we didn't care.
Gideon, what time have you been around to different zones? Because that's the other last kind of topic I want to talk about is zone alignment. And I want to hear from Gideon is like, what zone do you currently play in? Have you tried other zones and what works, what doesn't work?
Oh, we haven't tried any other zones. I don't know which one it is, if it's one or not. It's Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, 2:00 my time. On my main account, we move zones around, right? You're always trying to find that better matchup. But on the young account, we haven't done any of that. Again, it's more just trying to teach people how to play the game and encourage participation the best you can.
Yep. Have you, Purple, like I think from a high end, you had to bounce around every zone. You've had to go from zone, you've been in zone 2 and, those hours are insane. If you're from the US or if you're zone 3, I'm sure that's going to hurt somebody else from another continent. A lot of the challenges that exist are, high-end alliances on burnout, right? Is just having to jump around beyond a certain times. That's why I think it was great they got rid of the race concept, because people would have to set alarms at the high end. At the low end, it was just kind of fun and casual. At the high end, it was like you better be up at 3 o'clock. If you miss your attacks, you're probably yeeted from your spot. And now there's talk and rumblings about hey, would they ever combine all 4 zones since now it's not a race anymore? And what would that actually do?
Yeah. I mean, I see why not. Like, let everyone compete with everyone else. If it's not going to be a race and it's not geared in that way that you got to be on hitting the attacks immediately to be effective, I say just group everyone together, man. Like, stop this thing where people need to zone hunt. jump around to hit the people they want to hit, or we got to get out of here to get away from this alliance that keeps beating us or whatever. It's just like, I don't know. To me, listen, I play this game to have fun, and to me, that seems like a whole lot of work and a whole lot of nonsense for that. Just put everyone together. Listen. If I get one more ping at 11 a.m. telling me that war's starting in a couple of hours, or 11 p.m., excuse me, the war's starting in a couple of hours, hurry up and change your defense to this. I can't do it. I want to enjoy myself. I think I just put everyone together. Let us do it all within 24 hours. Hit it when you can do it, and just call it a day.
I don't know what it is. But I think that wraps up our latest episode here. I think, again, next episode, we're going to talk about alliance recruitment, and and kind of coupling that with running an alliance, because I think that is a major challenge. I think there's a heavy thread going on right now in the MSPV Discord right now about recruitment, and I think it's a topic that we can all, regardless of what level you're at, we all struggle with the same problems. So I think it's worth having the conversation.
Yeah, and remember, folks, this channel is not just us, it's also for you. So if you want to be on this channel, like our guests were today, please DM me at Northern Goblin on Discord, and we can chat, and we will be picking people from the community to come on and discuss going forward on these future panels.
100%. Once again, thank you to our guest, Gideon, and thank you to Prplestiky for spending their Friday evening away from their families to hang out and talk shop and talk about state of the game.
Thank you so much for having me, man.
Thank you very much, guys. Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it.
100% appreciate y'all, man. Appreciate the player's voice. Y'all are doing big things. Please keep it up.
All right. Anybody got any final comments before we finish?
New players need more tier 2s. Like, seriously. They need more tier 2s and tier 3s. And they do not need Hawkeye shards. They do not need year 1 tunes. If we can get some more, maybe not the end game, but if we get some more year 3 tunes, that will help as a catch-up mechanic.
What about Hawkeye Ronin shards?
I think that might be dope. I would like some Hawkeye Ronin shard.
All right.
We appreciate it again, and like I said, for the community, like, don't give up. Let's keep pushing this forward. We got to be a complete one team, to get some of this done if we're gonna push change, and these are the conversations we have to have.
All right. Well, thank you all very much for joining us, and take care. We'll see you next time.
Thank you guys all again.